We, along with cheap Russian oil, have helped fuel 25 years of German economic growth. So why, hypocritically, all of a sudden you're seeing more of the politicians criticize and attack China as a threat? When China looks at Germany right now, views a very hypocritical country. So China basically has been the driver for Germany's growth over the last 25 years. You see companies like BMW, Volkswagen, Porsche, Mercedes. You know what? They found that China was their largest market in the world. More Porsches have been sold in China than any other country in the last 10 years. You see that Mercedes has announced a $2 billion investment to produce in China. BASF, the major chemical giant, has announced an €8 billion investment into China. So from the Chinese view, they say, you know what? We, along with cheap Russian oil, have helped fuel 25 years of German economic growth. So why, hypocritically, all of a sudden you're seeing more of the politicians criticize and attack China as a threat? You see Angela Baerbock, the former foreign minister, was always talking about China as a political threat. You saw Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the EU, who used to run defense for Germany, has also taken a very negative, militant stand towards China's rise. So for China, they feel confused. They played by the world order. They embraced market capitalism. They got rid of protectionism. They allowed the Germans to invest in China and make billions and billions of dollars over 25 years. Now, because they've done it so well and have gotten strong, they're considered a threat. I was just in Belgium meeting with a Serbian businessman, and he said, I used to buy equipment from German companies for 90,000 euros. Now I buy it for 30,000 euros from Chinese. So the reality is the Chinese are outcompeting. They're better, innovative, cheaper than German machinery. But there's still a lot of things that the German companies can sell into China. Adidas is doing extremely well in sports apparel. They're seeing double-digit growth while Nike is collapsing in China. You see Bayer and Boehringer Ingelheim in the pharmaceuticals are also doing exceptionally well. And I think Mercedes has a chance to really continue to grow because they've invested in factories in China. So there's still a lot of opportunity for German companies to sell to the Chinese. But here's the thing, Chinese only account for about 40% of the overall economy in terms of consumption. In most countries, developed ones like the United States, it's 70%. Open up their wallets and go out and spend. Why? Because they're hearing people like Chancellor Merz. Why? Because they're hearing Macron and they're hearing Donald Trump say, we need to de-risk from China. The Chinese consumer views that as containment strategy, sort of a Cold War 2.0. So the problem is, because of geopolitical tension, the Chinese consumer doesn't feel confident enough to go out and buy. So when you hear all those criticisms of Chinese not consuming more, I think the West needs to look at itself, stop calling China an adversary, and try to have better, relations between the West and China. First, you've seen in the last couple weeks, Macron, Starmer, Merz, Carney from the Western world have all pivoted and come to Beijing to meet with Xi Jinping, and it's clear that the balance of power, economic trade is moving towards China. And most importantly, which your other guest didn't mention, he talked about the importance of Europe. Don't underestimate the rise of the global South. You have Indonesia, Nigeria, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. This is the future of the world. The next century is no longer going to be Western Europe and America and the old imperial powers. It's going to be the global South. I prefer to call it the global majority. That's a better, more fair, respectful moniker.